I think a lot of people talk about the cerebral aspects of the craft and understanding of art and all those things, aesthetic. But I think the technical training is most important. I know actors kind of talk about it sometimes, and they even romanticize the idea of being affected by a particular role. I don't believe that that is the only way to sort of have a very deep understanding or have a layered, nuanced portrayal. So if the pre-production is strong, then somebody like me is confident that, I know what I'm doing. So even if you change the scenes or dialogues, I'm not affected by that. Idhar nahi hai to idhar aana padega. So I get away with all these things. No? That's how Mr. Bachchan also got away with beating up 20 people. Idhar sahi hai.
Thank you for the drum rolls. Hello everyone, this is Kiran Manral. We are on Chasing Creativity, and today I have with me Gulshan Devaiah. We've all seen him in various roles on the screen, on the big screen, small screen, wherever you watch his stuff, and he's a brilliant actor. We all know that.
In your dreams also, sometimes in your dreams.
Yes. We'll see you in our dreams too, Gulshan.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming on the show.
My pleasure, absolute pleasure.
And congrats on the new show that's coming out.
Thank you again, thank you. Would you like to talk about your husband?
I would definitely like to talk about my husband. Though he's not normally someone who makes an appearance on my shows. You see, yesterday I was chatting with him and he asked me who's coming on your recording tomorrow. And I said, this actor who's been in That Girl with the Yellow Boots and Hunter and Shaitan, and he's played Chittiappa, he's played Mandar Pokshe, and this man's eyes wide, and he is a man who lives under the rock. He has no idea of anybody except perhaps Shah Rukh Khan, Salman Khan, and maybe Nawazuddin, Irfan Khan. He tells me he's a brilliant actor.
Oh God, he's put me in the same league. Eh?
Yeah.
Wow, thank you to your husband. See, that's why I wanted you to talk about your husband.
You are a brilliant actor, Gulshan, and it's been a long journey. It's been a very interesting journey.
Well, I'm really grateful you have that perception of me. Thank you.
But it was a journey that started very unconventionally. You were actually trained in fashion.
That's right.
And theatre was something that happened on the side. It was a passion, but I don't think it was your primary focus back then.
Yes.
So how did the switch happen? Because with fashion, I can understand that you have always been a creative person. But then how did theatre come on the scene? Was it college theatre, and how did it move on to become a full-time profession?
It was the other way around. I discovered fashion pretty late
really?
In my life, actually. So I was always very active in the drama circuit, to do short plays and skits and performances from a very young age. And I've seen my parents, particularly my mother, do a lot of work on stage. So both of them were employed in a public sector company called Bharat Electronics. And they used to have groups over there. And every year they used to do plays there used to be language groups. So you also do like competitions. And also there was a group that would travel to other PSUs and compete with each other and all that. So this was common for music as well as drama.
Okay.
So my parents would do both. My father, I would say, was more inclined towards the music thing of it. But my mother was very good at both. And she was quite a sought-after actor. So that's the environment I grew in. And they were also huge fans of... when I was a young boy, there was no popular music. Pop music was film music, was pop music. So they used to sing songs of the times and when they were young children, which was the 50s and 60s.
The black and white era, yeah.
Just black and white and post the 60s color
60s
era.
color came,
so 50s and 60s, that was their youth. So they used to sing songs of Hindi film songs of that time. So that was what I was hearing all the time since a young age, and both of them were wonderful singers. So they used to render those songs also in a very nice melodious way. So but somehow that transitioned into a fascination for cinema for me through the music. That's where it actually began. But and then I discovered fashion because yes, I was like my parents, both of them. They are very creative people. So they also used to indulge in art and other activities, other artistic activities. So particularly my mother. My dad was also pretty good. He could draw and paint really well, but my mother was, I think, like oil paintings, and she used to do things like that. So, there was a point of time in my life where my studies really, I lost interest in studies, and I wasn't a bad student at all. I would say I was average. But towards the end, I think I really lost interest in studies. So my grades were not good enough. So, and then the options are very reduced. So somebody advised me that, since you're also good, you have some skills, why don't you try going to NID or NIFT? So I was like, what's that? So then that person gave me a little bit of a lowdown. This was 1996, so there's no internet to Google or anything. He said there'll be ads in the newspaper calling for the enrollment, and there are entrance exams, and they're quite tough. You have to prepare. So I said, okay. So I missed the NID entrance because I didn't see it on the paper, but I caught the NIFT one. But I also caught an ad by this gentleman called Vidyasagar, who was a designer based out of Bangalore. He had a small workshop. He used to be a former faculty at NIFT, but he also helped students prepare for the entrance exam. I had no idea what to expect. So my mother said, yeah, I'll pay the fees, 1,500 or something per month. So it was a 3-month course with him. So I did that, and I discovered that I enjoyed fashion. And luckily for me, whatever I learned there was good enough for me to crack the entrance. And I got into fashion. That's how I got into fashion. And then I realized, I liked wearing clothes, and I had a fascination for clothes and shoes and all of those things. But that was and I used to watch all the fashion shows I remember there was only one channel then. So yeah. By the time it was 96, there was two. And also like cable TV was there. So, but I remember early days, they used to show fashion shows by Rohit Khosla, who died at a very young age.
He was a genius.
But I was fascinated by all of those things, and then Rohit Bahal and J.J. Valaya and Ritu Kumar and all of that. So it was a fascinating world to me, and little did I know that I would be part of that world at some point in my life. Not fully part of it, but I studied to be part of that. I enjoyed it, and also it gave me enormous confidence, because after staring at the abyss and all your friends going on to engineering colleges, and some of them even to medical colleges. I just didn't have the grades to sort of be in the same league. So then you're like, what are the alternatives? So when I graduated, I got a lot of awards. I won national level awards for my design collection and all of that. So Wonderful. That definitely gave me confidence that I can do something with my life, with my hands and with my brain.
It's like you ask a fish to climb a tree. So you were more creatively inclined. So
I suppose so. I suppose that maybe if I had, that was one of the best things that happened to me. Failing your board exams is not really nice when it happens. But I admit it. I completely lost interest in studies. But my friends didn't. So I wouldn't say that I'm better or different or anything. It's just that, I had to make a choice, and it is a decision. If I had paid attention to studies, then probably I'd be doing something else right now.
Completely. Life would have been a different path.
And I had to make that decision. And I'm fortunate that a person who was not known to me at all, who was a cousin of my friend who I've never met since, advised me to join NIFT or NID. I can't even remember his name. So, and he's a strange person. A stranger to me, who I've met once or twice in my life. So, and then it showed me, and I discovered a path,
Lovely. What I find interesting is you did fashion as a designer. You trained as a designer. Now you're in a profession where you have to slip into character. It's also wearing something, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see any correlation between fashion, as it is, wearing a mask or wearing a garb to pretend to be something else, and what you do as a profession now?
Not in the way you are suggesting, but I understand aesthetics and sensibilities because of my background in design. I think it's easier for me to understand. And I do pay a lot of attention to the aesthetics of the storyteller who I'm working with.
Okay.
For example, the director. He's the the one person whose aesthetics I have to really understand. And of course, the other, the DOP and everything comes in it. The writer director, that's really important. What is the story that they're saying? Why are they saying this? And how they want to say this? So I think my background in design and having studied design and worked for around 8 years, that really is an asset for me, because it helps me understand aesthetics. I understand framing, I understand lighting, all of those things like that, and how I can interact with the space.
Okay.
That's around me. So, but this is a set right now. So if you're performing a scene, so this is the space, and it has its limitations. So I think I look at it that way, and I look at a frame and I understand, oh, this is what it is. This is the aesthetic of it. So that is definitely an asset in terms of. So I think it adds more value on the technical aspects rather than the aspect of preparation of a character.
Okay.
It's not exactly like wearing a mask. It is, in some ways it is, but it's not exactly as simple as wearing a mask or taking it off.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel that my design background is more of an asset when it comes to understanding the aesthetics and technical aspects of making a film.
You've done very unconventional roles. Your choices, have they been deliberate? Have you looked for these roles? What makes you decide that this character is for me?
Deliberate when things are come to me. It's a deliberate choice.
Okay.
And I think I'm one of those who would believe in a stroke of luck, but also that stroke of luck gives you an opportunity to make a choice, and then you have to have the wisdom to make the right choice. And sometimes you make a wrong choice. That's okay. You can learn from it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is my perspective, more or less, and this is what seems to work for me. So I don't really hustle in the way some other actors would do to get projects or for their career, but sometimes I do try. But I have been not very successful when that happens. So it's mostly a game of being patient and waiting. So, or trying to make the right choice. And it is a deliberate choice. And I wait for opportunities to come where I feel for opportunities that I feel are interesting for me, that would help me curate a diverse and versatile career, because I feel that's important. Again, that's a choice I have made for myself. And I feel that my authentic self is also like that. It wants that, it craves for that diversity and versatility in the career and in the types of characters and genres that I can be part
Absolutely.
of. So when something comes to me, then I pay attention to it and I decide, should I do it or not? And the reasons for making that choice, the important things are, is it good for my craft in terms of this diversity, versatility? Is it good for my career? These two things are very important aspects. And of course, there are other, like, who am I working with? What sort of a story is it? And sometimes it's an opportunity to work with people you really like. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's even an opportunity to work with friends.
You've never shied of taking on roles which most people would think were different, to put it politely, or negative or villainous. Mm-hmm. You've done every kind of role. Yeah. What do you find most challenging? I mean, you've done Hunter, where you played a very unconventional character. Yeah. You've done Shaitan, where you were like the bad boy throughout. Mm-hmm. You've done, even Charkat Atmaram, Guns N' Roses. That was a lovely character, but obviously a negative character. So has there been any time when you feel like, I can't really get into the mind of this character, why this character is behaving in a certain way, and then you have to reconcile yourself to the fact that I have to portray this character, so I have to do this? Has that ever happened?
Sometimes early on, I think, because I was a little more green, as they say, kacha. So there were days where I have no idea what I'm doing. I think, and then I had to sort of develop a system which was more based on imagination, and then later on set, you allow things for you to happen. And this focus on understanding the director, which I did not have. So perhaps a film like, say, for example, Shaitan. I think I had something completely different in my mind that I wanted to do, and Bijoy's understanding, his vision was completely different. It sort of worked for that film, because I think he managed to sort of maneuver me in certain ways, but I was absolutely clueless throughout the film as to what the hell is happening. I didn't know, except that he's doing something. He seems to know like what he's doing, so I think I'll just go with his instinct. But I think it was almost accidental that what character was in my head and what was written how he wanted, just somehow fell in place.
Okay.
But that also made me understand that this can't happen every time. I got away here. I have to be a bit more sensitive to the fact to understand what their vision is.
Mhm.
So whether I talk to them, whether I quiz them, or whether I familiarize with their work. Now with well-known directors, you would have seen their work, so you're a bit more familiar. With new people, you have to spend time. You have to listen to them talk about
Mhm.
the story, or sometimes ask them questions if necessary. Mostly, a lot of them, if you just spend some time and listen to them talk, then you understand what they're trying to make.
Okay.
So that is really important, and with experience you learn how to sort of overcome certain inabilities that you have. That really teaches you. Working with other people, you see some other people do things a certain way, and then you're like, oh, this is useful, I should just incorporate this, things like
Okay.
that. And you learn,
Okay.
you keep learning.
You keep learning. Talking about learning, did you train professionally in drama, or was it
No,
just
not professionally.
hit the ground running kind of
I
with all your
did-
childhood?
Yeah, there was that, but then my true understanding of the craft, I think, it didn't happen till the year 2000, 2001, which is when I started doing amateur theatre in Bangalore
Mhm.
with various theatre groups. But that's where I really learned, because I had access to some of their libraries. So I would read books, they would give me books. Every rehearsal process would be a workshop. So you're also introduced to new techniques. And you're watching documentaries, you're watching plays, and I started watching a lot of plays, and I remember very vividly these two gentlemen who had the most profound impact on me. The first is one Mr. Vinay Kumar. He's a fabulous theatre actor from Adishakti. He lives in Pondicherry. Veena Pani Chawla, she was the head of the. I think she unfortunately passed away. It's a very tragic moment for Indian theatre, and he has taken over from her. He's an exceptional actor, and for me, he was able to create a cinematic quality to his performances on stage, and
Okay.
he's one of the most watchable actors
Mhm.
that I've ever seen. And then I saw Adil Hussain in Othello in Black and White, and I was just blown out of the water. So I was like, what the hell is this? Who the hell is this guy? I never heard of him.
Mhm.
And then he was already well known, but I was not very well versed with the
The
theatre circle. And I was so here I was discovering, and when I saw these two gentlemen, I was like, I want to be as good as them, but I don't know how. So then I knew that I have to pay attention to the craft. I have to learn by watching people, by talking to people, by observing, by reading, by practicing the craft. So my understanding of the craft really started to happen from the year 2000, 2001, I would say.
Okay.
And then, of course, I eventually did see some great actors like Vishnu Nasiruddin Shah on stage as well.
And you
There's another
acted with
one.
him as well.
I have
later.
not really. We were in the same film, but we never had scenes
You didn't
together.
have a scene together. Okay.
No, but he's, my good fortune is that he's very fond of me. And whenever he meets me, he's really warm and very appreciative and very supportive.
That's lovely.
And he also talks good behind my back.
That's important.
And many times on camera. So that's, yeah, sir. Not that you need the favor, but I'm returning you the favor, sir. You are a true inspiration. He's a great, great person. A great mind to sort of pick, and a wonderful person to listen to. Even if you don't agree with everything that he says, he's still worthy. It's still worthy to sort of observe him and listen to him. So I got to see him also. Another actor is Nagesh Bhosle, with whom I worked. And on his day, he's the most exceptional actor ever.
On his day.
But he can also be very inconsistent. But you learn. It was fascinating for me because I was absorbing all of these things. I had the fortune of working with Sunil Shanbag, also is a wonderful director. I learned a great deal working with him as well.
There's a great deal of difference between theatre and acting for screen. And the most obvious is, of course, the immediacy of the response from the audience.
Like Instagram. Theatre is like Instagram.
Theatre's Instagram. Your likes and your dislikes come immediately.
You can feel it. I think theatre people are not going to like this. I have really reduced them to Instagram likes.
But Instagram is the most popular app now, so they should think about that. And
it's for them to think about. Now I've said it. Now you can troll me. Come on. Yeah.
What do you feel are your takeaways from theatre that you brought to the screen? Apart from the craft.
Sure. Yeah. How to take light, how to catch light, the technical aspect, how to hit marks, which is very important in theatre because You don't have the spaces are a bit more flexible when it comes to shooting in front of the working in front of the camera, because if you get it wrong, you can do it again. On stage, sometimes you have to, like, I remember, like, sometimes those marks were so hard to hit, and you're in light, and when then suddenly it goes a blackout, your eyes have not adjusted to it. You can't see shit. And then in that you have to make an exit, and I've had embarrassing moments where I've run into sets and tumbled over and all of those things, and the audience has cackled and at my blunders. All that has happened, but you learn how to do that, and how to feel the light in your eyes and things like that. So again, I'm going back to technical, because I think a lot of people talk about the cerebral aspects of the craft and understanding of art and all those things, aesthetic. But I think the technical training is most important. That's
a very important point that you make.
Yeah.
I think a very overlooked point.
Yeah. And that's the thing that is most useful when you transition from theatre. You have to, there is a difference in the way you kind of use the craft, because in theatre, you have to project your voice in a manner that is not realistic. Even if the illusion is of you playing a realistic character, the audience in some time, depending on the size of the room and the acoustics, will adjust to that as the normal tone. So in stage, even a stage whisper, they call it now. A stage whisper is actually really almost as loud as we are talking right now. So you prime the audience, you condition them to, this is this world, this is how people sound in this world, this is how people will behave in this world. Then if it's consistent, then they buy into that reality. So in front of the camera, those dynamics are different. So the application of the craft is different. But the one thing that is most useful from doing a lot of work, apart from actually like understanding the craft, is these technical aspects. Like you become really, it comes easy to you. Like, okay. So you like, okay, 3 steps to my right is like this mark. If I'm here, I know I'm not covering my co-actor. You don't have to do it 5 times to sort of get it in your muscle memory.
Any characters that have stayed with you that have been maybe difficult to get into or great fun to get into?
Difficult, yeah, I think a lot of them. Initially, when I was a bit inexperienced, like I think when I was doing Shaitan, I think sometimes Casey used to come home, which wasn't really fun for my wife then. Yeah,
I can imagine.
Yeah, because he's an asshole. So entitled, rich, spoiled brat.
So you totally get
who was a coward actually. So so yeah, I wasn't fun, and then I became conscious of that, and then I was like, I want to be me. I don't want to bring these things. So then I would just like, how do I put it? Switch it off.
Okay.
And then, because I don't want that to interfere with my psychology. I don't want it to mess with my life. I know actors kind of talk about it sometimes, and they even romanticize the idea of being affected by a particular role. I feel that I don't want that. I don't believe that that is the only way to sort of have a very deep understanding or have a layered, nuanced portrayal. It is possible for you to be able to do that and also completely like switch that off and go home and be yourself.
Yeah. But a lot of the method acting does get into that, like living the character. And
I've not really studied acting. I've read a bunch of books, but then, so I have a very I don't have in-depth knowledge of the method. No. I understand the craft. I know many things, but then, I have not. Yes, I have done. There was a play that I was doing, so I use a lot of these things that are called as a method acting. Like I used to be in character throughout the show, in backstage, and really work myself up to that performance, which was really working for me. The performances were very consistent, great. It wasn't fun for anybody else.
Oh, okay.
Because I was playing Duryodhan, who was dying by the lake. He's really angry because he was cheated also and unfairly defeated. His hips are broken. He's bleeding to death. And then various characters come to meet him. So I was working myself up to that anger of a dying man, who is a great man, but his ego got the better of him. and that was his downfall, the reason for his downfall. But he's also angry and bitter at everything. So I was using, and that wasn't fun for people backstage at all.
Oh.
And I soon realized that I like these people. They're my friends. It should be fun. It's not fun. Yeah, the performance is great and the audience is saying, and my dad was like, oh, you did really well and all that. But it's not fun. And I have to do it every day. When there are like continuous shows and I have to do that every day, then I was like, this doesn't work for me.
Okay.
I can't do it consistently. Maybe once in a while. But I was happy. The first time I did it, I was like, great, because the performance was great. And then people, my co-actors and everybody like, wow, what was that? And all that. So I was like, yeah, it was this. But then after the fourth or fifth show, I was like, man, this is tiring. This is exhausting. Plus, it's not fun. Like everybody else is looking at me like, and it's not fun. And it's a community thing also, you're supposed to have. So then I was like, I have to push this aside and find other ways of doing it, which is when I started using my imagination more, sort of creating things in my imagination more.
Okay.
So, and being able to sort of be detached from the character, and sometimes on certain scenes I will be in character. I won't break it because I feel that if I'm distracted, then I lose it.
Mm-hmm.
So then I will isolate myself, and isolation is also things very useful. That way you don't get in the way of other people. You just make sure that you're in a place where nobody will distract you, talk to you, or so that your response or lack of response is not perceived as rude to them. So you do that. But more or less, I like to be chill and work with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And you learn a lot also, and the experience is also much more enjoyable that way.
For everybody on sets.
Yeah. So, but yes, going back to the thing, I'd just like to add that. But for some people, I think going method, full method, semi-method, or however they would want to do it, may be the only way that they know. But it's just not fun for me. And I recall one of the greatest living actors of all time, Daniel Day-Lewis, talk about his process. He said that and that's why he's retired, because it's just so difficult sometimes. Yeah. It's exhausting for him and it's exhausting for everybody else, because everything has to function according to you. And that's really unfair to ask everybody on set to, you have to prioritize my wants and needs over everything else. So that's really unfair.
Okay. Now let's come to Bad Cop. You're playing Karan Arjun.
Yeah.
It's a ripoff from, it's a takeoff, not a ripoff.
It's not a ripoff or a takeoff. It's just the names.
It's just the name that is
There's no similarities to the film characters or Shah Rukh or Salman.
Okay.
It's just that these two names. That's all. And that is part of pop culture. So that's all there is to it.
So is there a Raki in the show saying Mere Karan Arjun aayenge?
It has no other influence apart from the names.
Okay.
And the names, it's just for thrill. The name is just for thrill. Okay. What should we name them? Let's call them Karan Arjun. Okay. Maybe 20 years ago, they would be say Ram or Sham.
Okay. So this is Karan Arjun.
Yeah, if it was two women, they would say ki
Sita Gita.
Sita Gita. So it's just that. There's no other similarities or inspiration or plot points except for one dialogue which is similar, which is like Bhag Arjun, which I didn't even realize while saying it that it's there in the movie. But that's not really an influence.
Mm-hmm. It's a double role.
It's a double role.
You've done a double role before.
Mard ko Dard Nahi Hota. Yes.
Mard ko Dard Nahi Hota.
I played the Karate Mani and Jimmy.
So what does it feel to reprise a double role? Because the challenges are very different.
It's not the same. Yeah.
It's very different to do a double role.
It's a different sensibility. It's a different sort of a double role.
Okay.
So the world of Vasan Bala is different from the world of Aditya Dutt.
Okay.
So as I was drawing your attention to my ability to understand the sensibilities of the directors, that tells you what sort of a double role it is and what are the challenges and what you understand and what you don't. So this is more than the double role. The thing that I found interesting was that before this I played a cop in the Rima Kakti universe, which is I played a character called Devilal Singh, which is very much based in reality. He is an honest policeman and he's a real policeman. A lot of police people are like that. Now, being a cop is not his personality. Mm-hmm. It's his job. His personality is whatever. Like when you watch the show, you get to know, and most people really like that performance and Devilal as a character. It was wonderfully written. In this, the cop is a personality because it's a filmy cop.
Okay.
There, yeah, it's still a job, but then little bit of the cop is also a personality because we perceive filmy cops because we've seen, Mr. Bachchan or Mr. Devgan or all of these people like Salman
Dabangg,
Khan.
yeah.
All of this have played a version of the filmy cop, where the being a cop is also a personality. So we perceive it that way. It's not based in reality at all. There's no research or anything. It's not supposed to be real, and that's why it's the fun because you suspend your disbelief. So it's to put it in simpler terms, it's the cop from the Rohit Shetty universe.
Okay.
But Aditya Dutt is making it. So that was the challenge as to now how would many other people have done it, and some of them have done it really well. But how would I do this? That was something that was I was interested in, and of course, having worked with Aditya before, I was familiar with his sensibility, his vision, and then it was fun. It was really fun to. So it's a mass version. It's Gulshan Devaiah's mass cop.
It's a mass cop.
Yeah.
And the other character.
I hope it's fun for everybody. It was enormous fun for me doing it.
So it will be fun for everybody, I'm sure.
Yeah.
What about the other character in the film, the non-cop?
Arjun. He's a crook.
He's a crook.
Yeah, but twin brothers. They are brothers, but then they have some, tension between them.
Okay.
It seems.
Lovely.
That's all that I'll have to say.
That's all that you have to say.
Let's keep the focus on the cop.
Yeah, the cop. Now, when you're doing a role that requires you to play two different characters, what are the challenges as an actor when you're in the same film or the same project playing two different characters? You have to slip into two different personas.
True. It's a twofold. If you are unprepared, then anything can be very challenging. But if you go with the pre-production process for an actor is where you're preparing. You sit with the script, you sit with the director and writers, and you do rehearsals or readings with your co-actors, and you do all the trials and makeup tests and all of those things like that. And the process of imagining these characters and trying out new things and discussions, they're all part of the pre-production. So if the pre-production is strong, then somebody like me is confident that I know what I'm doing. So the scenes are not really important, but I know these two characters, so even if you change the scenes or dialogues, I'm not affected by that. So that's a strong pre-production for me. Then there are technical challenges because you're acting with yourself, which could also mean that staring at a cue card or a tennis ball or a flag or something like that, or a assistant from the direction department who's just reading out the cues coldly without any affliction. Or it could be a stuntman in my case, who are not really actors, so they're really good at their job, but then they have difficulty articulating lines and also trying to pretend to be me. So these are the challenges that you have to be okay with. And here mostly I was dealing with stuntmen, and I'm doing lines with them, and they are really struggling, and I can see that they are struggling, and somehow I have to pretend that it doesn't affect me. So these were the challenges, usually with double roles, because technically it can be quite difficult.
Quite difficult.
Yeah, because you have to first imagine how you're going to do it. Either of them, I have to do it first, and then I have to remember how I've done that, or watch the takes and say, okay, fine, and then completely. But then you're looking at somebody else's face now, who's dressed like you, right? Not quite responding the way I was doing that part earlier. So
that dissonance you have to deal with.
It can be a bit tricky. But then again, it's a process of repetition. So you just have to keep doing it, and then you'll give the director something that they can use to cut with.
Lovely. This is also very action role, very thriller. Yeah. And so did you have to train for it, or you prepare for all those stunts that you were doing? Or did you have a stunt double doing everything?
I think I was very much nudged towards having one of those muscular physiques by the makers. But I said, yeah. And then I completely kind of I think I hoodwinked them. Sorry. But this is the perception. I feel that going against perception is also interesting. I'm like, here you are, you've come to me. I don't have the image or a perception of an actor who can do something like this, or being a mass sort of a thing. Most of the actors actually are not like that, including Anurag Kashyap, with whom I'm
Himself,
acting.
yeah.
You don't come from that thing. But you're given this opportunity. So I'm interested in how we're going to do it, rather than say that, oh, I should like now have a body transformation or something like that. Which, again, I'm not critical of the people who are doing it, but I'm just saying that it doesn't interest me. I think I was expected to. So I was like, okay, fine. How much time do I have? And how can I do this safely without getting into any sort of health issues? I was like, I don't have much time. I don't think I can do this safely without getting into health issues. So I was like, I like, what do I do it? If I try to talk them out of it, it might not really work. So I see, okay, fine. Slowly. Then you get reference photos, can you do this? Can you achieve this much? Then it will be nice and all these things. And slowly, practically what is possible. But all the time I was focusing on building the character and making sure that I do my best in terms of performance. And that's what I was interested in.
Okay. And
so that's going to be different. I mean, it's a sort of a role where most male actors will probably hit the gym and take some other stuff to sort of look a certain way. But I decided that I'm not going to do it because I can't.
But you bring that element of ruthlessness out, I think. And that, very...
How do you mean ruthless?
When I saw the promo...
Oh, like that.
There is that menace in you without necessarily, as you say, bulking up.
Okay. Yeah. So, मतलब इधर नहीं है तो इधर आना पड़ेगा ना.
हाँ, तो उधर सब आ जाता है. So it works.
वही है कि that's how I get away with all these things. No, that's how Mr. Bachchan also got away with beating up 20 people. इधर सही है. Or Rajnikant for that matter.
Lovely.
Have you seen Rajnikant? He's a little man. Yeah. So, and quite like tiny, but then that's not his. That's not the persona that you get from when you see him play his characters.
It's all the
You're
acting.
almost convinced that he can beat up all of those people.
That's his job. And
yeah,
he does
so I was like,
well.
यहाँ पे लेके आओ, यहाँ पे muscles आने चाहिए.
What about Anurag Kashyap as an actor? You work with him
He's
as a
good actor. He's not particularly interested in it, but he understands the craft.
He understands the craft.
He's not really looking to make a career out of acting. So he's something that he's doing because he likes the people associated or something like that. He's helping out some friends because they're not able to find something like that.
Okay.
It's not like he's totally uninterested in it, but he doesn't want to be known as an actor-director. He's a director. He's a storyteller. So I feel that if he puts in a bit more interest, like if he was a proper actor, then I think he would be a really good actor.
That's an interesting thing because he's a director, and from a director to be an actor, you have very few who can cross the line.
Yeah, but no, I'm sure he's capable of also, but that's the thing. Like he's not interested in making it a career option or something like that. He's not. He's just doing it because he can. He understands the craft. He's quite good. He gets the job done. He is creative. So he uses all of those things like that. But he's not really putting everything into it. Like somebody like me, like this is my main hustle and only hustle. Like I don't have any side hustle even. So it's not like I'm directing some films on the side. For him, it's okay. Acting is a side hustle. For me, this is my main hustle. So I am putting everything into this.
Is there any role that you would like to do that you've not done yet?
Nothing in particular.
Nothing in particular.
No, I feel, and this is a philosophical choice. If I make a list, then I am making boundaries.
Okay. So you don't like to limit yourself for any such
I want to be surprised. I want to do things that I think that I couldn't do. And I'm like, oh, I have to figure out now, how do I do this? I've said yes to this. Now, how do I do this? It's fascinates me sometimes. I really want to do those kind of parts that come to me. And I was like, I have no idea how I'm going to do this. But it seems like a great project. Let me figure this out.
Does it frighten you sometimes? When you take on a role that you feel that...
No, if I'm well prepared, I'm not frightened.
Okay.
If I don't do a good preparation, then I'm frightened because I'm like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. It hasn't cooked enough in my head.
Okay. What's coming up next from you?
Ulaj, the theatrical release.
Okay.
So, Bad Cop is going to be on Disney Plus Hotstar from the 21st of June. 21st. Ulaj is coming out in the theaters next month.
Wonderful.
5th of July. So,
what's Ulaj all about?
It's a spy thriller. That's all that I will say to it.
Spy thriller. So you're getting beyond
that, I will have to assassinate you.
I have a kid who's not yet settled. Please spare.
I'm only joking.
Thank you so much for your time, Gulshan. It was a wonderful conversation and so many insights, and all the very best for both Ulaj and Bad Cop.
Thank you. I do have some contrarian contrarian viewpoints sometimes, or my own perspectives that are useful for me. I don't know how useful it's for other people, but I'm happy to share them.
They're
For
all
what it's
great
worth.
takeaways.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure completely.
And thanks to your
Bye.
husband who lives under the rock.
Yes, I will send him back.
How do you have a relationship with somebody who lives under a rock?
It's the best one. It's the best one because he emerges only periodically for food and water.